I have a really exciting discovery to share with you today about cancer and natural plants that have been scientifically verified to have multiple mechanisms of action against cancer cells. And so I'm really excited to have you join us for this video and to share this discovery with you. I'm going to introduce Sylvie Beljanski, who's with me here, to go into the science behind it and share what these plants are, where they're from, how they work, and how you can even get access to them if you're interested in them. I mean, this is really revolutionary research that I think the world needs to know about. So thank you for joining us. I'm Nathan Crane. I'm a certified holistic cancer coach. I am a best-selling author of Becoming Cancer-Free and an award-winning documentary filmmaker and natural health researcher. And today I'm joined by my good friend and colleague, Sylvie Beljanski. Sylvie is a holistic health advocate, a French lawyer by trade, a member of the Holistic Leadership Council, and author of the award-winning book titled Winning the War on Cancer. She's the founder of the Beljanski Foundation, which is a nonprofit where we conduct scientific research on natural plant extracts to determine their anti-cancer and health-promoting properties. She started the Beljanski Foundation back in 1999 to further her father's cancer research. We'll get into some of that in this video, but without further ado, Sylvie, thank you for joining us here.
Hello, and thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be with you today.
So I have to share a quick story. When my grandfather was diagnosed with cancer, this was back in around 2012, and I went to visit him in Arizona. He had already gone down the kind of traditional chemotherapy, radiation for leukemia, and it had made him really sick. And he was basically, unfortunately, dying from the treatment he was receiving. And then when I went to sit with him and talk to him about cancer, which I didn't know that much about it back then, and we were talking, and I knew there had to be some natural things he could do and some things that could help him, but I was just afraid, like most other people. I didn't really know much about cancer and what you can do about it. And we were having this fascinating conversation, though, where he said, you know, I really believe, this is what he told me, I really believe that one day they're going to find the cure for cancer in some plant in the Amazon rainforest. I believe there's a plant in the Amazon rainforest that, is going to help cure cancer. And I thought, I bet there is too. And I bet there's already plants that have been discovered that are helping fight against cancer that we just don't know about. Most of us just don't know about. And unfortunately, he and I had never learned about that plant or any of those plants. And he passed away shortly after that in 2013. And that sent me on just this mission for the last decade to learn everything I possibly could about cancer and interview hundreds of the top doctors and health experts and cancer, people who've overcome cancer, and integrative oncologists and functional medicine practitioners to learn everything I could about cancer, reading hundreds and hundreds of scientific papers. And over the years, I got introduced to you, Sylvie, and the Beljanski Foundation and the scientific research that your father had been doing, and you have continued in his legacy on discovering and researching plants that have incredible mechanisms of action, natural solutions for fighting cancer cells. And one of those plants, which I know you're going to talk about today, actually comes from the Amazon rainforest.
Indeed, it's Pao Pereira. I find your story.
When I made that connection, I had chills all over my body because I was like, this has already been discovered. Had we known about this and all the other solutions I now know about, I think we could have saved my grandfather's life. But unfortunately, we didn't know what to do back then. And so I want to, one, welcome you. Thank you for coming and sharing this. And two, please talk about these plans, the research behind them, and also concerns and what people need to know and watch out for, as well as the scientific research on them up to this point.
Your story is very touching to me because I believe we start to understand and research when we are facing trauma. Before that, we are kind of we are shielding ourselves from the need of looking seriously into things like cancer and health. You are speaking of the passing of your grandfather and the last moments you spent with him as a turning point for your enlightenment in looking for understanding other things about health. And it is really also the way the French government tried to destroy my father and his research that led me, without any scientific background, just like you, I did not know much about cancer before, to try to understand and then to realize the importance of my father's discovery. And it is because of the importance of this discovery that the French government was so keen about destroying it. I do believe so. So why is it just a fad, comes, goes, no need to go to the extent they went to destroy something. So it is really what put me on the path to understand. And once I understood, I was like, well, we have to confirm those discoveries, and we have to continue. And that's how I started the Beljanski Foundation here in New York. And we were very lucky to be able to get the interest of Columbia University at first, and then Kansas University Medical Center. We have been working also with Cancer Treatment Centers of America. And all those research programs we have been able to fund have led to peer-reviewed publications. Everything is available on the website of the foundation, beljanski.org. And because that's the mission of the foundation, to continue the research and to share the results. So that's what we are doing. And I'm grateful that you give me today the opportunity to speak about those plant extracts.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful and commendable and inspiring that you picked up where your father left off. It's also sad and disheartening. You know, we talked in depth on my podcast. I encourage people to go listen to that. I think it was like an hour and a half or 2 hour podcast where we talked in depth of what the French government did to your father and you know, destroying the evidence and all kinds of crazy things. We're not going to get into all that right now. This is a shorter video specific on these plant extracts, but I encourage people to go listen to that. And it's inspiring that you've continued this work and are truly helping change and save people's lives by getting this information out to the world. So I know you had some slides you wanted to share, and
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, the idea today is to speak about the Pao Pereira and the Rauwolfia vomitoria extract. This is about the latest publication, but I'm going to get there. Let me start with the beginning, which is Pao Pereira and Rauwolfia vomitoria, the two plant extracts that my father really discovered. I mean, of course, he perfected the extracts. There was those plant, I mean, there is a traditional use of Pao Pereira in the Amazon rainforest, mostly for malaria. And there is a traditional use of Rauwolfia vomitoria, mostly in India. And it is theoretically, I mean, so traditionally, Rauwolfia vomitoria is linked to medication lowering blood pressure. My father looked into that extract, Rauwolfia vomitoria, back in the 80s, because there was a big controversy at the time around this specific product, because it was said, I mean, he had the reputation indeed to lower blood pressure, but also to induce cancer. So my father looked very closely at this plant extract And he discovered that there were two alkaloids, main alkaloids into these plant extracts, reserpine, which was the active known to lower blood pressure, and alstonine, which is a secondary alkaloid, and had anti-cancer activity. So he purified the Rauwolfia vomitoria to get an extract which is completely reserpine-free. No reserpine, meaning no toxicity, and of course, not inducing cancer. Instead, it's alstonine, which is a cancer-fighting molecule. But it's a very messy and complicated and expensive process to purify Rauwolfia vomitoria. So my father looked in the books if he could find a molecule similar to alstonine, and he found flavopereirine, which happens to be quite similar, smaller, but quite similar, with also a positive and a negatively charged nitrogen. And this doesn't need to be purified. It's coming from a tree in the Amazon rainforest called Pao Pereira. And so it can be, the extract, of course, has to be proper designed to be rich enough in flavopereirine, but there is no negative alkaloid that needs to be removed from the extract. So that's how he got these two extracts. Turns out that they both have, let me continue, get back to, they both have anti-cancer activity, but they are also a little bit different from each other. Pao Pereira has also antiviral activity and is able to cross the blood-brain barrier, and also has anti-inflammatory properties. Rauwolfia vomitoria doesn't have antiviral properties, but it has also anti-inflammatory properties, and it helps regulate hormones. So, for example, hot flashes, things like that, or hormonal dependent cancer like breast cancer or prostate cancer, this product can be extremely beneficial. The other thing that my father discovered, and it is true for both extracts, is that they are able to recognize cancerous cells wherever they are located. They recognize cells which have turned cancerous, and they target those. I'm sorry, this is moving too fast for me.
So while you pull up the next study there, I just want to recap what you said. So the two alkaloids that are in the Rauwolfia vomitoria that your father identified, well, the reserpine is one of them. That's the primary alkaloid that was used in the drugs for lowering blood pressure, right?
Yes.
But that was discontinued in the USA. I don't know if it's still available in other places.
Yes, actually, you can still find it as a supplement on Amazon, but it has been discontinued and by the FDA. I mean, for a reason. It is induced in cancer, and it's highly toxic. So that's why it was so important to remove it.
So that's why your father removed that alkaloid, but then was able to now did he grow specific versions of the plant that didn't have the alkaloid, or it just has to be done in a
No. What he did and what we are still doing is having an extract first, I mean, primary extract of Rauwolfia vomitoria, and then you have to purify it to remove the reserpine.
Because the alstonine is the alkaloid where you see all of these anti-cancer benefits.
Absolutely.
So that's what's left, and that's what's used. And then the flavopereirine alkaloid from the Pao Pereira tree is, and there are no known negative consequences from that tree. You don't have to remove anything. So you use the
The extraction is specific. I mean, when the way we extract, we are sure to extract something which is very rich in flavopereirine and doesn't contain much of anything else, actually.
yeah. So people, and so I'm asking this because some people will look at these and go, "Oh, I'll just go buy some Pao Pereira and some Rauwolfia vomitoria, go look for it somewhere on Amazon or whatever." And it's like, you got to be very careful and mindful of what you're buying and what you're getting, the extract, the source, the alkaloid content, all of that stuff, right? It's super important that you're getting uh, the right amounts of these.
Yeah, a few years ago, we at the foundation did a comparison study because there are other companies selling Pao Pereira. They don't go to Rauwolfia vomitoria so much, but Pao Pereira is other companies, and we compared the amount of flavopereirine and in those different plant extracts, and there was in most of them there was almost nothing. You have to have at least several hundred ppm of flavopereirine to get an anti-cancer result. And I always, when I give a conference, I always say, well, those research were conducted with plant extracts that were samples which were provided by Maison Beljanski. If you go somewhere else, you may not have the same results because you will probably end up with a very different extract.
Yeah, it's important for people to know. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and I mean, it is the same extraction process that was used since my father. I was lucky enough to be able to recover all of the data which was in the computer of the laboratory. So we had all that, and we were able to start right away with the proper standard. So as I was saying, he tested the Pao Pereira extract, for example, on different kind of cancer cell lines. Here you have brain, colon, liver, kidney, ovary, breast, pancreas, prostate, thyroid, and he was able to see that again and again, those cancerous cell lines were inhibited by the Pao Pereira extracts. And here you have normal cell lines, which are not inhibited. You see, you have here 5,2, here 97. I mean, almost 100% here of growth with the normal cells, and almost nothing left here. Deep inhibition, strong inhibition on cancerous cells.
Now this is all in vitro, right? This is all in.
This is in vitro, but then what we were able to do in America is to carry on the research and go in vivo. And we have, for example, here, so here is prostate, but here we have pancreatic cancer, an ovarian cancer here, pancreatic cancer, here it's colorectal. And you can see here, there was a synergy was studied with carboplatin, here with gemcitabine in animal studies. So they confirmed here that it was, I mean, multiple activity on the multiple cancer cell lines, synergy of action with different chemotherapies that were given in vivo in animal studies, and no toxic burden for the animals.
So right here, this is all Pao Pereira we're looking at.
Yeah.
And going back, can you cover some of the, with Pao Pereira, what were some of the mechanisms of action that they saw with the different forms of cancer?
So apoptosis was one of them, but
which is really good for people who don't know. Apoptosis is basically healthy cellular death. It's what you want to happen. You want cancer cells it can be very challenging to get them to die off. And so inducing, you want things that help induce apoptosis, which is actually helping kill the cancer cells. So that's a really big mechanism of action.
And then if you look here at those two studies on breast cancer, one is confirming apoptosis with flavoperin, and the other one is inhibiting autophagy. So that's a very interesting result for a different kind of cancer that will benefit from autophagy, but also for triple negative breast cancer. I mean, the fact that it's inhibiting autophagy is a very positive development.
Yeah, and same thing, you know, autophagy or autophagy, however you want to pronounce it. For people who don't know, autophagy is something that our bodies do naturally to help clean up cellular waste and help recycle cells and help remove cells that can become cancerous. It's a really important function that we can induce naturally through intermittent fasting. It happens when we sleep, but so many people miss out on the benefits of autophagy because they don't sleep deep enough, or they don't intermittent fast, or they don't do other things that help induce it. So to see that this inhibits autophagy, so this is inhibiting autophagy.
Yeah, autophagy is a really double-edged sword. And sometimes, I mean, to some extent, it's a good thing, but it can be a bad thing in certain circumstances. And for triple negative breast cancer, you are happy to see that it is inhibiting autophagy.
Oh yeah, because it's through the AKT signaling pathway. So that's the pathway that basically has a lot of different functions, from glucose metabolism to a whole bunch of other things. I just did a ton of research on this recently. So yeah, like you said, there are times you want autophagy and other times that you don't. And in this case, via the AKT signaling pathway, it makes sense that this is very beneficial, especially for breast cancer. Yeah.
So what is really, really important to notice is that it is really the selectivity of action. Here you have the flavoperin, the Pao Pereira extract, which happens to be naturally fluorescent. So you are able to go under the microscope and see exactly where the Pao Pereira extract goes, or what it is doing. And you can see that it is staying outside here, this healthy cell. This is an astrocyte, healthy cell from the brain. And here you have a cancerous cell, glioblastoma, and you can see the fluorescence has entered the nucleus of those cells. And it's even more visible on the UV light. That's really the Pao Pereira extract, the luminescence is targeting those cancerous cells, not going anywhere else. And so that really explains why you don't have to think of cancer anymore by thinking of men, women, or prostate, ovaries. It doesn't matter. The extract is able to recognize abnormal cells and target them. And Rauwolfia vomitoria is, I mean, this is a page from one of my father's publication. He calls that at the time BGA, that was his code name, research name for Rauwolfia vomitoria, is doing exactly the same thing. It happens to be also fluorescent, and it remains outside of healthy cells.
So it doesn't negatively affect healthy cells. It only goes after the cancer cells, is what
exactly.
that shows. Yeah, that's powerful.
Exactly.
That's
and the research also, I mean, you see different here publications about with Rauwolfia vomitoria and different kind of cancer. We have here we have prostate, here we have ovaries, here we have pancreas, again and again. the Rauwolfia extract will find those cancerous cells and will induce apoptosis of those cancerous cells. And what you see also is a synergy of action again with different chemotherapies, here gemcitabine and carboplatin.
Basically meaning when these were animal studies, right, where
Yes.
they gave the animal chemotherapy along with the plant extract, and they saw that it had a greater benefit than without it.
Absolutely. And so theoretically, you could give less chemotherapy. What happens is that you will destroy cancer cells faster. And maybe, you know, the doctor will say, well, you are faster, will say you're out of the wood, or there is no need to add an additional round of chemotherapies. So that then you have the same benefits with less toxicity. And that might be very, very important.
And
As you
some
said,
of these studies were done without chemotherapy as well, showing the anti-cancer effects, right?
so yeah, in the studies in the animals, yes, they have shown that the plant extracts are destroying cancerous cells by themselves and also in synergy of with chemotherapy, yes. And it works very well by itself. And beyond, you know, the experiment in the lab, so between my father and myself, it's fair to say that the products have been around for 50 years. So we have had a number of testimonials, which are, we have seen it all. I mean, people who say, I am not going to poison my body with chemotherapy, forget about it. You see people who say, I want to live and I want to put everything I can take to get better as quickly as possible. Give me the extract, give me chemotherapy, give me radiotherapy, everything I can take to feel better. I mean, and everybody is different, and you have to respect all those avenues and feelings. What is important for, I think here, is that people don't have to choose. They can benefit from both avenues, conventional and also those plant extracts. So what we did, we worked, as I told you, with Columbia University on different kind of cancer and also different stages of cancer, and that allowed us to show that there was an anti-inflammatory benefit for even at the level of BPH for prostate without cancer, but just fighting elevated PSA. Then we went on with normal cancer, prostate cancer, and then we went on with advanced prostate cancer that do not respond to hormonotherapy anymore. And then we saw that Pao Pereira was exhibiting another mechanism of action, which is inhibition of NF-kappa B. And then we went on to cancer stem cells. And that's very important because cancer stem cells are those cells which resist chemotherapy. So in a cancerous tumor, malignant tumor, you have regular cancer cells, and you have some which are undifferentiated, are going to resist chemotherapy. So the tumor shrinks because the others are destroyed. The regular cancer cells are destroyed. So the doctor says, oh, that's great. You are responding well to the treatment. So the tumor is shrinking. But what's left are those undifferentiated stem cells, cancer stem cells, which will stay in the blood, are able to travel go somewhere else, create a tumor relapse. So as long as we have not solved the problem of cancer stem cells, I mean, people are not out of the woods. They cannot be confident that the cancer is not coming back. So that was why it was so important to look at Pao Pereira and Rauwolfia vomitoria, which are showing so many incredible possibilities, and to see if they were going to be able to work on cancer stem cells. And we did the work first on ovarian cancer stem cells, here with Pao Pereira, here with Rauwolfia vomitoria. And you see how the miracle happens between 50 microgram per milliliter and 100. And here, same thing. So we went on with
Did you
ovarian.
say 50 micrograms per milliliter of?
Yes, that's in vitro. That's in vitro. And then I'll tell you about the in vivo, getting there. So that's pancreatic. Again, everything disappeared. As you see, everything disappeared.
No, and
And
that's incredible. It's huge because again, we know chemotherapy and radiation don't kill cancer stem cells. And as you were saying, you can even get to no evidence of disease by doing surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. But no evidence of disease just means they can't find the tumor cells or the cancer cells. They're not even measuring most of the time the cancer stem cells. And we know the literature is very clear that chemotherapy and radiation don't kill the cancer stem cells. So you may have circulating tumor cells or cancer stem cells that are there, which are like the roots underneath that allow new tumors to grow in different areas of the body. And so if you don't get to those cancer stem cells, you're basically opening yourself up for a recurrence. And so that's why this is such huge research and so important, is it's showing the mechanisms of action against the cancer stem cells. It's amazing.
yeah, and we went on to confirm that in vivo, of course. And you have here the Rauwolfia vomitoria, here the Pao Pereira for pancreatic, and here is the ovarian cancer stem cells. So all that is in vivo. And it was the plant extracts were given by gavage at the rate of 20 milligram per kilo, which for a mouse is the equivalent of what people take when they are taking, let's say, 6 to 8 capsules a day of extracts. And we were very careful to have do the gavage route, so it is similar to what people are getting when they are taking capsules. If you don't want to compare something, like taking capsules with an injection. So we had to do the research exactly the same way as for people taking capsules, so they can get the same benefit. And you see that here, if all the cancer stem cells went away and had limited cytotoxicity to normal epithelial cells. So absolutely no side effects, no toxicity for people, here for mice. So it's inhibited pancreatic cancer stem cells. So it works on different kinds of cancer cells, different stages of cancer, including cancer stem cells, without toxicity, without side effects, and it can be taken in synergy with chemotherapies.
Yeah, that's powerful. I mean, this is incredible. And so I know you have taken the extracts specifically and made them available for people, right? It's like, hey, this research is great, but then how do we actually help people? So talk a little bit about the extracts, where they come from, And then we'll put a link below this video where people can look at them and get them for themselves as well. But talk a little bit about that.
Well, again, the Pao Pereira is coming from, oops. The Pao Pereira is coming from the Amazon rainforest. One of the beauty of the tree is that it's very sustainable approach. I mean, not only it's natural, but the bark is able to is shedding by itself and is reproducing by itself. So you don't have to kill the trees. So you are also, it's good for you and it's good for the planet, because in the Amazon rainforest, instead of cutting the trees, they understand suddenly the value of their trees, because they can export the bark on a regular basis. And then they cultivate their trees, they take care of them. So that's really a game changer at the level of the Amazon. And it's also, as I told you, all good for us. We are using the bark of the tree. It's not cultivated, it comes from the wild, there is no pesticide, no nothing. Also that at the level of the extract, we double test for absolutely everything, to make sure that the product is absolutely clean of any contaminant. But we never incurred any badge showing any contamination, because again, it's coming from deep in the Amazon rainforest. And the Rauwolfia vomitoria, it doesn't, I mean, shed by itself, but it's really growing like weed in Africa, and it is not complicated to grow it and I mean, it's highly sustainable also. I cannot hear you.
Right. And so you've taken these specific extracts and have put them into capsules that people can take as a supplement, right?
Yes. So, you know, as you said, I'm a lawyer, French lawyer. That's my background. So the first thing I did when I come to the United States, it's how to be able to sell that legally and on the long run. So back in '97, the first thing I did was notification to the FDA. Because we already had all the toxicity studies done by my father. So we were very, very comfortable doing those notifications that passed with flying colors. And there is a provision in DSHE, which is the act that regulates dietary supplements in the States, that says after notification, you can do research. So that's why we have had since '97, we have had the supplements that have allowed us to conduct the research. And of course, we have been able to make the supplements available to people who are interested in using that and benefiting from the research.
Again, we'll put a link below so people can take a look at these two products for themselves. But this is what I find especially exciting about this is you can actually take the supplements, and I'm actually personally taking them right now. By the way, just as health maintenance, just as inflammation protection, cancer protection, etc. Just personally, I'm just taking them as a way to keep my body healthy. But the cool thing I like is that anyone can take the exact extracts that have been used in all of these scientific publications that the foundation has done. So it's not, and like you said, in the doses that were shown in the animal models. So it's not like in the animal models to see all of those benefits. you had to increase it to where someone would have to take like 50 capsules a day, right? It's literally
No,
between, like, the Pao Pereira, I think, is like between 5 to 10 capsules a day, roughly. I think you said 7 or 8. Uh,
yeah, exactly. And that's why it is, I mean, it's only like that research is meaningful, because if you cannot translate, what's the point? So that it was really, really important to get exactly the same dosage. At the end of my book, Winning the War on Cancer, the Epic Journey Towards a Natural Cure, I have published the protocols that were recommended by Dr. Markovich, who was an MD, very close friend of my father, and his widow left his notes to the foundation. So I published that, and to make them also available to all. So he goes cancer by cancer and makes some suggestions in number of capsules. And we have kept the number of capsules the same since the time of my father. So this is information that was developed by a French doctor and can be useful for people, remaining useful for people today.
That's awesome. Well, Sylvie, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm so excited to be helping share, this important discovery with our community and with more people around the world. The more people who know about this, the more doctors, the more cancer patients, the more researchers who realize that there are natural, non-toxic solutions for our own health available. The more we can move forward as a society to improve our overall health and well-being, and realize, hey, we have options. We have options for our health. If you want to go down the conventional medical approach, it's totally fine. Hey, guess what? There are studies that show there are natural plant extracts like the ones we've showed that can actually improve that approach. Or you want to go a totally natural approach. The nice thing is you have the options, but you need the education, and that's why we do this, is to educate and share this information with people so you can dig deeper into it, do your own research, look into these
And very
plans for
often,
yourself, and make sure you get whatever you do. If you do take them, make sure you're getting the highest quality, purest sources with the research behind them. And from my research in this, these particular ones that come from Maison Beljanski, which again, at the link below in the description, will take you right to the page with both of them. These are the only ones that I'm aware of that have this scientific research behind them. So for me, I choose a trusted source like this. That's why I recommend. But at least this information is getting out and helping people.
very good.
So thank you so much. It was awesome. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing that research, and appreciate you for taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nathan.
Everybody take care. We'll talk to you soon.